Fresh off the high banks of the Texas Motor Speedway, the iRacing Indy NXT Thrustmaster qualifying series heads west to the Portland International Raceway for back-to-back road course races in what could be a pivotal swing, reaching the halfway mark of the championship. Hi folks, Arjuna Kenki Party back in the commentary booth, and still not at 100%, but a little bit better than I was last week, where we had a, let's call it what it was, a rather dull race at the Texas Motor Speedway. Single file for the most part until they started to fight, at which point the cautions descended. Difficult to pass, low line reigned supreme, and it was Josh Thompson that grabbed the victory after Dan Amor won on the streets of Long Beach 2 weeks ago to kick off this qualifying series. After this, we head to the racing capital of the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to reach the halfway point of the championship, and then two oval races in the back half. First a trip to the Worldwide Technology Raceway, and then a trip to Iowa, all sandwiched by a visit over to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Now, with 12 drivers keeping their championship license from the 33 that competed in the inaugural iRacing Indy Pro Series, the 21 drivers at the top of the championship points would be eligible to move forward. So top 20 would lock yourself in, and from next week forward we'll talk to you about the bubble. But here you can see the names as they sit. Already a big swing between first and 20th, so the likes of Alexander Spetz, Sotomuto can't really afford any misfortune, while there are a handful of drivers who will very much be looking to try and gather some points in second split. Now, that's one of the key differences between this week and last week, is because we're back on a road course, our entry list for the top split of competition gridded up by the road I rating as compared to oval I rating. So we'll see some different drivers, and in a strength of field that is 7,811, there are some decent championship points on offer in the top split. Second split, closer to 4,500, so a decent chunk fewer points will be on the board. Not a long lap at the Portland International Raceway by any means, and lap times are flying. 61 odd seconds and thousandths covers the field. Dan Amor back to pole position after his win on the streets of Long Beach. Ricardo Rico has slipped up to 7th. Alexander Spetz is just behind him, and almost identical times for Josh Chin and Ricardo Rico. In fact, according to live timing, identical times down to the 4th decimal place. Blink and you find yourself missing out on a top 15 starting spot. These are fine margins. Balance of the car has got to be on a razor's edge. Three drivers with no times on the board, but Adam Blocker is ready to set his second lap time, which clearly is the faster lap time. I thought for a second he might be a first driver to dip below a 61, but no, it's a 61.848, and it will be 24th for the former race engineer at Hunkos Hollinger Racing. Emil Bernstoff on lap 2 in the Solpec Precision Racing number 10. Still waiting for Kazuki Fujita to get onto the board, excuse me, as well as Matt Busa, but he's on lap 2, so washed his initial attempt, and they only get 2 attempts to flick the car in through the final sector. Out of turn 12, be brave as you get onto the power early and wash all the way out to the wall. And Busa crosses the line, 1:02.386, or 62 seconds. That puts him at the tail end, but maybe just feeling the pressure to put a laptop on the board. So just Fujita and Nico Wozbicki still left out there on track, and each with 1 attempt left in qualifying. We're on board with Fujita as he squirrels out of the hairpin at the top of the track. Wozbicki has just jumped to 25th, so Fujita will complete our qualifying session, and we will straight away be gridding up for the race through the final corner around this just shy of 2-mile 12-turn road course, mix of asphalt and concrete. Another member of the 62-second club, and that is it, done and dusted. It's Dan Amor after a brilliant win on the streets of Long Beach, puts it on pole here at the Portland International Raceway. Newly announced as a Coanda Esports driver, Dan Amor as well. He's in front of Peter Berryman by 55 thousandths of a second. Josh Thompson, Ricardo Rico, identical lap times, down to the, is it the 10,000th of a second? Remarkable. Let's take a look at how they'll line up. New Coanda Esports driver Dan Amor looking to try and re-establish himself at the front of the championship standings here in the iRacing Indy NXT Thrustmaster qualifying series, alongside Peter Berryman, Northern Ireland's own, where Jaden Munoz finished second last week on the oval, looking to try and maximize points for the second week on the bounce. Cooper Webster fourth, Sota Muto in fifth after a trip out to Italy as part of the Ferrari Mondiale. Josh Thompson's outside after his win last week. Not where you'd expect Team Redline to grab success, but he was strong. Drago Racing bring their contingent. Rico, Spets, Mateo, 7th through 9th positions, with Pablo Espes back in 10th, and just 2 and a bit tenths of a second covering the front 5 rows. Vasilius Belotsiotis, some work for the Williams Sim Racing driver to do 45th in points. He's got Mateo Kuzna to his outside on row 6, while 13th sees another Williams Sim Racing driver, Alessandro Bico, with Luis Nunez alongside in the fiercely forward number 24. Manuel Cubo Torres and Tamas Shimon 15th and 16th, with Rafael Leon and Esteban Rodriguez just behind them on row 9. Matt Emery and Emil Bernstoff make up the rest of the top 20. Then the Frenchman Guy Valero has Nathan Moore rocking a classic Williams old school look. On row 11, Matt Caruana, who continues to impress in the British Formula 4 Championship, has got Jordan Johnson to his outside. And then you go back to find Nico Wisbicki alongside of Adam Blocker. Luciano Whitfit and Aidan Young, 27th and 28th, with Kazuki Fujita and Cameron Wilson, your top 30. And just a couple more cars at the back, Josh Chin, Will Weiser and Matt Busa. So 33 cars for 32 laps of racing. And I'm not quite sure why I sped through the starting grid so quickly, because look, we'll have a full outlap behind the pace car before we get underway. Track conditions relatively cool. 73 Fahrenheit translates into sensible units as 22.7 Celsius if you're curious. Relatively low humidity in the air, you'd think, for this part of the world. A wind slightly gusting, and a little bit of cloud cover as well. There's Josh Thompson, victorious last week. Did say that Redline maybe not where you traditionally expect them to find success would be on an oval, but Josh has done his done his fair share of racing, I should say, on the ovals with Nexus Esports as well. So I got to give him some credit for that. There's a look at the very pink machine of Sotomuto. Williams Sim Racing apparently haven't deemed it necessary to make a livery, because Jaden Munoz doesn't have one. Bico, Belotsiotis, they don't have one as well. So, clearly not worth it. Second split, by the way. Pole position was a 101.616. So, it won't be the identical lap times, but that would have given them, just for reference, 17th position in this qualifying session. So a bit of a gap in the strength of fields, but also maybe reflected in the overall pace from the drivers, at least in the qualifying session. After this, just 2 more road courses left to make your mark. And while the oval last week was a bit of a flat out, how do I describe it? Not technically challenging track to race at by any means. Oh, Worldwide Technology Raceway, Iowa Speedway. Those are technical. And yes, there's one drop round, but if you're relying on it at the very end of this short but sweet iRacing Indy NXT Thrustmaster qualifying series, you could be in trouble. Currently on the bubble in 21st position in points, it's Cameron Wilson. Adam Blocker is about 22 points behind, and only 1 point in front of Manuel Cubo Torres. Even Cooper Webster, who finished 1 point outside of the top 12 in the inaugural iRacing INDYCAR Pro Series. Can't afford to have an off race and rely on that as his drop round. He is 9th in points. Jaden Munoz has 701. Cooper Webster has 491. These cars are interesting. 450 odd horsepower, 150 seconds of push to pass. And in a 32 lap race where no pit stops will be expected, it is time to put foot to floor, pedal to metal, and get ready to go. Round 3 of the iRacing Indy NXT Thrustmaster qualifying series has taken us to Portland, and let's go racing for 32 laps of action. A great jump from Dan Amor, who wants to avoid any sort of scenes into the opening hard braking zone. The fight behind sees Jaden Munoz close with Peter Berryman, and Berryman boxes him out, holds on to second spot, and almost chops off the front wing of the Texas native. On the brakes, in towards turn 4. A couple of side-by-side fights a little further behind. Luis Nunez, he's the one that pays the price. Spat out into the grass and already lost his rear wing. Now through the technical middle sector, through 5, 6, and 7. Big sends from further behind. Looks like Alexander Spetz trying to put the move on Josh Thompson. This now as they head on to the back straight. And this is where bravery not always rewarded. Just ask Connor Daly from earlier this year. And Alexander Spetz back into line. Then a fast flip into the braking zone. Behind contact, it's Matt Embry that's got around. Oh, and Cam Wilson, Aiden Young picked up as well. That's not the greatest of rejoins there, I think, from Wilson. Although to his inside, looks like Rafael Leon potentially, or Luciano Whitford, who are also tumbled down the timing, find themselves in strife. All right, so this could be frantic racing, to say the least. Ricardo Rico amidst the contingent of Drago racing cars on the edge of the top 10 after qualifying. It's down one spot. It's his teammate Alexander Spetz that's taken advantage. Our poor producer, Hugo Luis, frantic fingers right now trying to grab all the replays. You saw there on the screen, by the way, little green blip. That's the indication that on the push to pass as they go. So this is what happened to Nunez, who, to be fair, no fault of his own, just absolutely turfed. Rear wing goes missing. And then, I don't know if that's Matt Embry trying to open up the entry into the fast left-hander, but no matter what it is, it's not ideal. And then that is Luciano Whitford trying to open things up. Cam Wilson, good avoiding action to exit stage left and avoid the smoke, avoid all the drama as well that was unfolding. Left rear suspension broken for the 17, it would appear, of Rafael Leon. And then Luis Nunez trying to get through the scene. Someone cue the Benny Hill music, please. So you can also see on the left side, P2P, that's push to pass, active when the drivers are on that button. 150 seconds they will get. So who's taken the most of their 150 seconds? Well, front two drivers haven't touched it. Webster's nibbled at it, 7 seconds used. Thompson, 12 seconds used. As Jaden Munoz, just a blip on the timing, hopefully just a technical issue that sees him restored to third position as we are on the 4th of 32 laps of racing. Ricardo Rico close onto the tail of Josh Thompson. I think that's where the next move could be building. It's a track where you're trying to strip off the downforce and trust yourself through some of the fast sweepers, still needing the mechanical grip through some of these slow corners as well. But the more downforce you have, the more vulnerable you are on this back straightaway, on the main straightaway, and Rico's on the button. Thompson's using it too to defend. And he is the one that, inside of the top 10, has used it the most at this point. Open up the corner through 11 and 12. Back onto the pit straight. And now Rico working away once again Thompson having to defend with the button. And now having made the move, Alexander Spets, fastest lap of the race, starting to pull away. Now, not having any pit stops, which is not going to be the case in the INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series kicking off on January 8th. That is going to make things interesting, because you can't really sit back and let the race come to you. I think Gallo Valero is a driver that knows how to let the race come to him. Back in 19th position, though, after qualifying, not necessarily getting the lap put together in these fine margins. Ooh. Alessandro Bico defends from Emil Bernstorff on the run up towards 10 and 11. And the Danish driver now trying to find a way through on the climb back up towards turn 1. Lots of the button used, and you can see just how effective it is as well. Former racing driver that competed as high as GP2. Bernstorff slides his way through. This car really does require some commitment, that's for sure. An INDYCAR has no power steering, but it's not to say these aren't physical in their own right. And remember, we had 33 starters, 4 of whom tangled up in an incident and required a trip to pit lane. One of them is headed back out onto track. Matt Emery, but Luis Nunez, Luciano Whitford, and Aidan Young might all be done for the day. And could that be a blow in their hopes of qualifying for the INDYCAR Thrustmaster iRacing Pro Series? Josh Chin, Matt Buser, they've fought for 24th. The King of Chins has held on to the position. That's a long way down the running order, though. And 29th I-rated driver in the field. So I think there, potentially, Matt Buser might have a slowdown penalty. Pulls out of the way to serve it. Oh, and then watches a big send as they can cut the inside heavily. Raphael Leon almost gets the nose chopped off by Adam Blocker, teammates to Josh Chin. But the disadvantage of effectively sneaking into top split is that you are likely to score less points often than someone who finishes well in second split. So we'll see how that all plays out for the likes of Chin. Esteban Rodriguez was a 32nd car, but he was one of the higher rated drivers in the Oval I rating, so this might actually work out decently for him. He's 17th. Could still grab a top 10 potentially from this race. That gap, by the way, Josh Thompson is now 1.3 seconds back from Alexander Spets, and he has burned 40 seconds of push to pass. Now, we are about a quarter of a way through next time by, so realistically, out of 150 seconds, you could have burned about 37 of them. He's probably going to have burned a bit more than that by the time they cross the stripe once more. Alexander Spets is using it, trying to now get a little bit closer to Sotomuto. Now, how aggressive will they feel? Spets is 19th in points. Sotomuto is 20th. They really do need a solid points day, but is one position going to really give them that much more? Is that the same risk-reward strategy being played up by Ricardo Rico? As once more, lots of push to pass, and here comes the Swede, Alexander Spets. You can cut plenty of the curve. Oh, he's forced Sotomuto into that as well, and the drama's behind, tangled up. Thompson loses out big time. Rico's lost the front wing. And departing the scene of the incident, oh, Josh Thompson will be angry, to say the least, but relieved that he won last week on the Oval. I said no pit stops. Ricardo Rico's going to have a pit stop. And look at the defense on the run to turn 1. So as Spets made his move, that was aggressive. Or rather, excuse me, I was getting myself mixed up. It was... Oh, it was as The attempted move came in from Rico, of course, in the Drago racing machine. This is a look on board with Mateo Kuzma. I said I wasn't at 100% fighting strength. Play that one off. Oh, look at that. Slip up the inside. Worked a charm for him. So Rico's gonna... Ooh. Now this is... I've seen many an unwise thing from a sim racer. This is up there. I mean, that defense is not maybe the wisest either, as Josh Thompson gets very, very frustrated. And don't tell me now that the silly thing's going out on track. Josh Thompson has got Drago team manager Nico Wierzbicki behind him. I mean, I don't quite understand what Rico's doing right now. Pulls to the side at the very least. That's good to see. Oh, Thompson's lost the entire right side pod. Now, Mr. Producer, could I request another replay of the incident, but from a slightly angled look? And can we try and see if there was going to be, if the damage was from there, or if there was something else after the fact as well for poor Josh? All that, by the way, as the lead has started to close back up. So I'm curious, are we going to see something? This is Jaden Munoz almost latched onto the gearbox of Peter Berryman. Sweep out through turns 4 and now 5 and 6. Dan Amor trying to break away, has not touched this push to pass yet. He is being very wise. Berryman, Munoz, who's now on the button, by the way, and Webster have all dipped into it. Alexander Spetz is down to 91 seconds. He's been the most aggressive of any driver in the field. Now, can Jaden Munoz get to the outside? Oh, that would have been aggressive. Not going to switch back on the run out of 11 into the short braking zone of 12. It's back in the draft. And briefly on the button, what he's trying to do now... Here is that replay. Or maybe a different replay. As we look at the 7. Oh yeah, no, there was already a bit of side pod damage there. Totally lost my train of thought. It happens. On lap 12 of 32, Arjuna Kankipati in the broadcast booth. Hugo Luis on production duties. Thanks for joining us here in Top Split. There is coverage of second split on the P1 broadcasting channels, who were very kind to cover the top split when Hugo and myself were in Germany for Sim Racing Expo. And I'll blame that for why I'm still slightly under the weather, as Jaden Munoz tries to get onto the power, tries to get onto the push to pass. The rear end, not the most compliant. Luis Nunez leaving pit lane, but going to stop and avoid being any sort of interference. Dan Amor has started to dip into the push to pass allotment. Now 3 seconds used as we close on halfway through. This is what I was really looking for. Hugo did read my mind. And yes, oh man. I mean, he's lucky, Josh Thompson, that not only is the left side of his car only missing the side pod, but then the right rear took a big whack as well, didn't it? Starting to get a little bit more spread out in some ways here at the front. They're all being a bit more liberal with the push to pass. And sometimes we have it so that our graphics light up when someone gets on the button. That might be a bit nauseous to have available right now, so I think wise call from our producer to avoid enabling that option. Look how close to the inside they get. That's not just in iRacing, that's the real line as well here at the Portland International Raceway. Opened back in 1961, 64 years ago. INDYCAR first came here all the way back in 1984. Kazuki Fujita's lost a bit of ground out through turn 1. 2 positions, excuse me, 5 positions lost. Lost out towards Bicky, Chin, Blocker, Thompson, Leone. Oh, and it's by himself. Now, you can use that inside curve quite liberally, but if you don't get the line quite right, you can find yourself tiptoeing around. Not even halfway through this race, by the way. It is a bit of a draft fest, but in a very different way to what we had last week. It's fascinating. And Alexander Spetz doing his everything to try and close back in. Matt Caruana has just passed Jordan Johnson. That's for 16th position, but really, the big gap now between Sotomuto and Mateo Kuzner for 6th and 7th spots, built up as a result of that incident with Josh Thompson. Gar Valero still on the charge, attacking Jordan Johnson in that Solpec Precision number 25. Balancing on power as he adds a little bit more with the push to pass. Valero through the shadow of the trees into the back straightaway. Look at how many people on the push to pass as they work onto the main straightaway. Big wobble there from Jordan Johnson, who has to go defensive. Forces his former teammate to go the outside. Push to pass enabled. Oh, deep under the brakes. Johnson not wanting to concede. And the Ohio native overcommits through the second part of the corner. And as they carve through the right-hander at turn 3, position switch hands. And Jordan Johnson demoted to 18th spot. I'm listening to the burbles as we go off throttle, riding with the Solpec car. .450 horsepower added to by that push to pass back up front. You're leading 4, well, still a 4. Spetz and Muto not close enough. On board with Webster. Such a talented driver, Cooper Webster. And if not for his opportunity to go race at Macau last year in the real world as part of the Grand Prix, there's a very realistic possibility that he would have been the champion of the inaugural INDYCAR iRacing Pro Series. Missed a couple of rounds with his testing commitments, then going out there to prepare for the race as well. Ended up having a pretty solid showing. Finished 5th in the main race. That's not a bad effort in the Formula 3 machines. But yeah, having to fight his way back into the championship, the brutal nature of an iRacing Pro Series. Dan Amor having to use the button more and more now. He's starting to feel the pressure. We have crossed over that halfway threshold. It's 17 laps now complete. 15 left to go. And his former teammate starting to put the pressure on, riding with Peter Berryman. If you're watching on the iRacing channels, don't forget we have a couple more weeks of this qualifying series left. The Indy Road Course in a week's time. Then a trip to the Worldwide Technology Raceway, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca the week after that. And then a week off for Thanksgiving. Everyone gets to spend some time at home with their family. And then regroup on December the 4th for the final oval of 3 and a trip to the Iowa Speedway. Sotomuto is officially, I think, at this point gone. Yes, still inside a drafting range, but only just. Alexander Spetz could be the next one to be out of contention. But then all it takes is a bit of fighting between the front 4, and then suddenly those two behind find their way back into the mix. There is so much happening in the world of iRacing esports nowadays. So if you don't already follow the iRacing Esports Network channels, go ahead and make sure you do. As Emil Bernstorff, Pablo Espez squabble on the exit out of turn 7. Right on board as push to pass once again active for a moment. Look how wide they can go. Exiting turn 11, set up the braking zone into 12. But yeah, so much happening. We have another one of our iRacing special events on Saturday, coverage at 12:30 p.m. UTC. The British Racing Sports Car Festival with Formula Ford 1600s. That's always a good time. Then on Sunday, the IMSA Esports Global Championship returns as the season kicks off at its traditional home, the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. But just yesterday, RaceSpot had coverage of the British F4 Esports Championship. And then a couple of days before that, the return of the Moser Racing FIA Formula 4 Esports Global Championship. So plenty of things happening, even in a slight off-season from the world of eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing, which of course finished up with its season finale in person a handful of weeks ago. There's Peter Berryman, white wheels on the Apex Racing Team number 6 that both looking forward and rearwards. You got to say, Jalen Munoz is poised and ready to try and pounce. Seemingly, Tyreware not producing too many opportunities, and these drivers recognizing 12 laps left to go, getting closer to the halfway mark of the qualifying series. Last thing they want to do is throw something away. Good points are on offer. Hearing that in some of the other splits, there might have been a few issues on the formation lap. So that's the interesting thing about these qualifying series. Multiple splits, decent points on offer in all of the splits for the most part. Got to keep your eye on what's happening elsewhere. Super duper Cooper Webster, a little bit of a bobble as he hits that inside. Nicholas Matteo Kuzner, 7th and 8th positions for the time being. A little bit of gap back to Vasilios Belotsiotis and Tamas Simone, Manuel Kubo Torres, Emil Bernstorff. It is starting to string out slightly here. Leaders still very much on top of each other, closing on 10 to go. Our champions must be watching, well, rather, not just champions, but the entirety of the top 12. Diego Pinto walked away with the $20,000 share of the prize pool that the champion was awarded. Phil Kraus was 2nd place, and trying to do the quick commentator's math on the fly, which is always a dangerous proposition. Only 19 points behind was Phil Kraus, so he'll be trying to cheer on his teammate Adam Blocker in his fight with Nico Rosbicki. Alexander Spetz and Sotomuto have made it now, a front 5 officially, by the way. Blocker pinch to the inside wall. Can't really attack there. Switch back, go around the outside on the run in through 3 and 4. Oh, little blaster, push to pass again. A little bit reactionary in the defense potentially for Nico Rosbicki, but racing hard and fair for the time being. Up to turn 7. You can see Blocker trying to back up the corner and get a good run. He's left with 61 seconds left of push to pass. So yeah, Phil Kraus, Eduardo Lea, Ron Milechka, Luke McEwen, Florian Lebiger, Gustavo Ariel, Michele Costantini, Sam Koitit, Michael Romanidis, David Toth and Elliot Veyron. Those are the 12 drivers all locked in from the 2024 iRacing INDYCAR Pro Series. Back up towards the front, closing in on the end of this race. Jaden Munoz down to 85 seconds of push to pass left. Spet still with 58, I say still. He's running out of push to pass left to try and make a move. So we ride in third position with the Williams Sim Racing machine. Peter Berryman going defensive, almost 3 abeam into the opening corner. And no wonder they've closed up at the front. Now, could this bring Matteo and Kuzner back into the swing of things? Dan Amor still 122 seconds left. This is a young man that has got such a cool head on his shoulders. That is why the Coanda Esports team have snapped him up. After racing the Apex Racing team for a couple of years, 6 days ago announced by Coanda that he has joined their ranks. Looking at the lap time, 1:01.8 for Dan Amor at the line. That was his fastest lap of the race. Only 200 slower than Alexander Spetz, and that's without any draft. Just a bit of push to pass, yes. Manuel Kubo Torres has got 0 push to pass left, by the way, so might need to keep our split screen, that bottom box, focus on the fight for 11th, because he could be a, well, swarmed man very shortly, is my feeling. Nicholas Matteo did a 1:02.4, so no chance, I think, that the leaders are going to get caught anytime soon. Luis Nunes has just stolen the fastest lap away, by the way. 1:01.7. So, lack of push to pass. And indeed, Emil Bernstorff takes advantage, flies past Kubo Torres. Run up to turn 11. That looks rather easy. Next in queue, that's Pablo Espez, who's got 37. Make that 36, 34. He is pushing away at the button, asking for more, and more. Not able to slot his way through. As up front, Dan Amor is starting to break away. This is an impressive performance. In points, he is only about 40-something, 30-something points back from Jaden Munoz right now. So this should put him back, I would think, in the championship lead. And I was talking about this earlier. The final round of this qualifying series is Iowa, which I'm guessing Dan Amor has never really done many laps at Iowa. But if you want to succeed in the INDYCAR iRacing Thrustmaster Pro Series, which has, what's it, 3 ovals on the calendar. Oh, there goes Adam Blocker around in the Powerslide Motorsports Grabber Blue machine. But yeah, the iRacing INDYCAR Thrustmaster Pro Series slated to visit Indianapolis, Phoenix, and Nashville as ovals. Oh, big send from Blocker. And then bish bash, tit for tat, as that's the danger of open wheel machines, as unprotected wheels like that sometimes can make contact. Squeezed off the corner, right rear initially into left front, and then it's the secondary contact that really does it for Blocker. 4 to go at the line, just under 8 miles of racing. And Dan Amor has got the push to pass in reserve. He should hold on. Really, the fight's now for third. Munoz has lost a lot of ground up to Peter Berryman. And on board with Cooper Webster. Pablo Espes passes Manu Kubo-Torres. These are valuable points through the field, let's not forget. Every driver looking to claw whatever they can. Only 7 races in the qualifying series. Adam Blocker was not hoping to claw his way back onto track with a right rear that looks very much like it's got other ideas as opposed to going in the direction it was designed to. Oh, snap. And Connor Daly did that, albeit with some contact. Maybe Blocker will say he already had the damage. So Cooper Webster's got 15 seconds of push to pass over Jaden Munoz. Munoz with 24 seconds left. Yes, there are only 3 laps left to go. What's going to happen here? Can Webster try and use that to his advantage? Driver's eye view. This from Alexander Spetz. Now he's got just about the same amount of push to pass as Jaden Munoz. He used a lot of it trying to close up, but has been saving it the last few laps. Slightly different line to Webster in front of him. Dan Amor has not dropped Peter Berryman as they make their way through on some lap traffic. Slinking back and forth. Very defensive from Munoz. He is starting to feel the heat, and this is where that extra push to pass does play its part. Because Cooper Webster has now got 8 seconds that he could use anywhere else around the lap. Someone in Twitch chat saying a better TV direction than Formula One. Yes, we agree. Get Hugo all the jobs in the world. Just let him have time to still come and be with us here in the world of iRacing. Amor still only 8 tenths in front of Berryman. One mistake and it could be over. Webster thought about it, but realized the mistake would be going into turn 10 side by side. Impervious so far. Can Jaden hold on? On the bottom, an aerial look at the leaders as they sweep out of the opening complex. Oh, Webster's a bit too close. If Spencer got a good drive off the corner instead of slip and sliding, putting the 450 horsepower down in this Indy NXT car, he could have had a chance. Munoz still has 8 seconds to defend of the button. Only 4 seconds extra left for Cooper Webster. Not close enough, you'd think, on the backstretch for one final time. Well, this was certainly a lot more interesting than our race last week at Texas, albeit with a lot of shared characteristics. Single file, lots of draft, and no scheduled pit stops. But 2 road course wins now for Dan Amor, a new Coanda Esports driver. One step closer here in the iRacing Indy NXT Thrustmaster qualifying series. Gets it done at the Portland International Raceway. As we wait for the final drivers to come to the line. Manu Kubo-Torres has dropped from 11th to 15th through all of that. He'll be feeling slightly frustrated, to say the very least, although not as frustrated as Josh Thompson, who's going to come home just in front of Will Weiser. Will Weiser's +9 as the last driver on iRating to make it in the field. Good effort from him. But Thompson running as high as 5th, spun at turn 1, lost the side pod, and after winning At the Texas Motor Speedway, Thompson has to settle for a sub-20th place finish. Dan Amor does no such thing. Back-to-back race wins on the road courses, and now surely retakes the championship lead. If he continues this on the ovals, boy, is he one to watch. Peter Berryman, consistency for him as he tries to lock up his second consecutive season in the INDYCAR iRacing Pro Series alongside of Jaden Munoz. Back-to-back podiums for him. Cooper Webster 4th, Alexander Spetz in 5th, and then Sotomuto, Nicholas Mateo Kuzner, Vasilios Belitsiotis, and Tamas Shimon make up the top 10. Emil Bernstorff is in 11th after fighting his way forward 9 positions, biggest mover outside of Matt Caruana in 13th. Sandwiched between the two of them was Pablo Espez. Alessandro Pico 1 spot down from where he qualified, so he'll be slightly frustrated with that. Kubo Torres 15th, Rodriguez 16th, and then Jordan Johnson +7 for him, 17th spot. Gato Valero, Nathan Moore, and Rafael Leon, the rest of your top 20. Behind them, Josh Chin, Josh Thompson, Will Weiser, and then Kazuki Fujita, your top 24. Matt Boossa's in 25th position with Cam Wilson, Matt Emery, Adam Blocker, and then just a handful of machines, but most of them finishing laps down. Rico, Whitvet, Young included. Sorry, the silence was me sending a message to Dan Amor, trying to get him to jump in for a quick chat here before we wrap up our coverage. There he is, right on cue. Let's have a quick chat with the man himself, new Coanda Esports driver, but that's 2 race wins in 3 races, Dan, and a pretty decisive one here. How are you feeling with almost half this qualifying series now in the books?
Yeah, feeling really good to close out today like I did. I think today was definitely a tougher race than Long Beach was. I think later in the race the pace wasn't quite as strong, but held off Pete and Jaden really well, and unfortunately some battling behind did me a favour, and I could just kind of cruise to the finish.
Loved watching your push to pass management as well. That showed, I think, how in control you were. But road courses clearly seem to be buttoned up. Ovals play a big part of the championship and the qualifying series. How's the prep going into Worldwide Technology Raceway in a few weeks? Because obviously Texas was a rather different style of race, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, Texas was interesting to say the least. I mean, firstly, it's all kind of the same discipline in my opinion. It's just there's no right turns. Obviously, the setup wise is very, very tricky, but I've got some a lot of work going in behind the scenes for myself and some other people, which I'm grateful for, and I think that's really going to kind of boost me for the main series and the rest of the qualifying series, so hopefully that does me well.
Well, congrats, Dan. We'll let you go get some sleep, and we'll see you next time out as we make our way over to the racing capital of the world.
Thank you very much.
Lovely chat there with Dan Amor, and racing capital of the world, we are bound. Back home in Indiana. Oh, it will be fun to race around the road course. No oval racing for these drivers. And I think especially that last sector with these cars could promote, which we're looking at right now, I mean, could promote some great racing, some opportunistic sends. I think we could be in for a real treat. That's to say the very least, and you can join us here on the iRacing Esports Network. Same time, same place. Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 1 hour, I think, later in Europe because the clocks are going to change. But same people as well. Hugo Luis will be on production, and what a job he did today, following all the action through 32 laps. Arjuna Kankipati signing off from the broadcast booth and looking forward to hitting the halfway mark next time out in the iRacing Indy NXT Thrustmaster qualifying series.